The Goat House is back with my favorite picks and locks for the divisional round of the NFL playoffs here every week with this video, along with loads of NFL content when it comes to playoffs and the offseason. Let's break down my picks. Unfortunately, there's only 4 games. I don't have a spread lock. I have an alternate spread lock. The Chiefs minus 5.5. My favorite spread is the Chiefs minus 8.5. It's just a little bit much, to call it a lock here, but I do like them minus 5.5. Definitely should cover that if you want to parlay or if you want an alternate spread from every single game. Chiefs minus 5.5. Lions minus 1.5. Part of me is like the Lions are going to beat their ass, and part of me is like the Commanders could be very sneaky in that game. I do think the Lions will win that one, especially with their run game. Rams plus 10.5. I have the Eagles winning that, but I like the Rams getting points there on an alternate spread. And the Bills plus 3.5 have the Bills winning that game. But Chiefs minus 5.5, my favorite one. You can play around with that. You can just put some money on that. I know the odds aren't the greatest in the world. Actually, for an alternate spread, that's pretty decent odds on that one. But I do make a pick and a score prediction against the spread for every divisional round game. It's a recent video. You can check it out. Straight up locks, I'll definitely go with the Chiefs. And the Texans are too beat up at receiver. They're too inconsistent on offense. The Chiefs defense is actually playing very, very well, and the offense is playing much better since the collection of weapons they have are kind of all together now. Hollywood Brown coming back, Worthy getting going, Kelsey, Hopkins, a number of guys obviously that can contribute there. And I'll go with the Lions. I'm a little more comfortable in the Chiefs than the Lions, I'd actually say, because the Commanders could be a little sneaky with, the Lions beat up on defense, the amount of man coverage they run, and Jaden Daniels could be a problem, but I just do not see how the Commanders outscore the Lions. The Commanders' defense isn't the best in the world. The Lions have the best offense, and I think they can win with the run game alone. So I don't want to overthink that one. The Lions are going to win that game. It could go in multiple different ways, really. So the Chiefs, I'm a little more, firm. That one's going to be, they're going to handle business throughout that game and win that one. Our weekly pick show is up. A lot of fun with the other guys, some different perspectives there. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn notifications on. We have full NFL coverage here, playoffs, and the offseason show. Join us here. Last week, I had a best money line pick. It was the Houston Texans. They handled business. Like the Buffalo Bills this week. To me, the Ravens-Bills, a 50-50 game. I picked the Bills to win, but they're at plus 100 at home. Worth at least putting a couple bucks on the Bills there. Few reasons I like them. Yes, the matchup says the Ravens with their running game, but in Buffalo, the Bills are a different animal there. Josh Allen's a different animal. He's out to prove something. Everyone's all over Lamar Jackson for the MVP. Josh Allen out to prove something. I think he has a monstrous game. Just being at home with that crowd, huge, huge factor. But also, the Bills kind of hinted at, Josh Allen did during the year, them trying to kind of save some stuff, hide some stuff for the playoffs, keep it in the back pocket. They didn't really do that in the past, and they got sent home in the playoffs. So they know they got to use everything in this game. They got to send everything at the Ravens, and they do that, and they can be, have some sneaky things here, and then they win this game, which will probably be a shootout. So I do like Buffalo this week, but that is a game that, of course, obviously could go either way. Favorite total of the week is going to be a team total. The Commanders set pretty low, 22.5, and they get at least 23 points there against a beat-up Lions defense. Runs a lot of man coverage. I think Jaden Daniels uses his legs. I think McLaurin has a big game. I have the Lions winning. They'll probably score over 30 points, to be honest. But, I thought about the over in that game as well. There is a chance the teams kind of run the ball, run the clock, but they will have success on offense. I like that team total for the Commanders, but yeah, there wasn't really a ton of totals that really stood out this week. Again, only 4 games left, or 4 games playing this week. Couple parlays for you guys here. Always will have more bets, more parlays, anything, everything on our Twitter. So at GoDogsNFL, link pinned in the comments. Check that out. At a parlay in the beginning of this video as well if you're paying attention. But here's a good 3-leg parlay. Chiefs minus 5.5. Remember, I love that alternate line there. Pair it with the Commanders over 19.5. Remember, I love their point total over, but we drop it down a little bit on an alternate line. They most definitely will hit that 19.5. They'll get at least 20 points in this game. And the Rams-Eagles, you bump that up to 49.5, and you call the under on that one. Definitely should be more of a defensive game than last time around. Both defenses very solid. Might be a little chilly out there. And the Eagles offense struggled a little bit last week. The Rams actually been maybe more of a defensive team lately. So all 3 of those together, plus 221. Pretty good odds on 3 things that most definitely should happen. Maybe if there was one that was, that was a little tricky, maybe that last one, but I think the Rams and Eagles hit their under on the normal total as well. So I feel pretty good about those 3. A same game parlay, and I'll have one for each game. another reason to follow our Twitter. But this was my favorite one, Commanders versus Lions, would cooking up a same-game parlay. Jahmyr Gibbs, 70-plus rushing, tempted to go 80. I do think he hits the 80, but in a parlay, let's play it a little safer. How much is Montgomery? How much is he involved? I don't think much. They should limit him a little bit. Gibbs could rip off some explosive runs against a very weak run defense of the Commanders. Jaden Daniels running very well. Scrambling quarterbacks that good usually do even more damage against a heavy man coverage defense, and that is the Lions, who are beat up and who allow some yards to running quarterbacks. So I actually like Daniels at 50+. 40 is much safer, obviously, and you get pretty good odds with this parlay. And McLaurin at 60+ receiving. The only thing there is if the Commanders are just really, they're going to come out trying to run the ball, drain the clock, and if they succeed doing that, then maybe we won't see a whole lot of McLaurin. But chances are the Lions are going to score early and often, rapidly, so the Commanders will at some point probably have to play some sort of keep up, and they'll throw the ball. And the Lions right now are dead last against receivers. You have a receiver one that went off last week. He's going to get 60 yards. You could play it safer at 50 yards, and then it's a plus 170 parlay. 5+ catches seems like a pretty good lock, but I think he goes off, especially if the Commanders are trailing. He's going to really rack up the yards against that Lions defense. So Gibbs, Daniels, McLaurin, you can play around a bit with that yourself. If you want to bump Gibbs up to 80, if you want to do Daniels to 50, I'd recommend keeping Daniels at 40. Gibbs, I'm really tempted to go 80. If you want to drop McLaurin down to 50, or if you want to go 5+ catches, if you want even more odds, over 5.5 receptions, I think that also hits. He should get 6, 7, 8 receptions on that one. So it's probably my favorite game just because the matchups. Gibbs against a weak run defense. Daniels against a team that is kind of prone to allowing yards to scrambling quarterbacks. And McLaurin against a weak pass defense, and he was monstrous last week. So some options that I really like. We'll have more on our Twitter, of course. Favorite anytime touchdown picks. Going with the plus odds, guys, this week. We've been hitting a lot on those this year. I mean, if you want to use Gibbs, if you want to pair a Jahmyr Gibbs and a Saquon Barkley with a Josh Allen, that should hit. I think it's great. You're just not getting the greatest odds in the world with Gibbs and Barkley, guys like that seem like sure things. Derrick Henry, so I like the single leg touchdown picks on the plus odds, guys. Here, that's my favorite thing this year. Josh Allen, my favorite, plus 110. Of course, again, you could pair it with a very likely touchdown scorer like a Gibbs, but Josh Allen, I think he's going to score. I was surprised he didn't score last week, but at the same time, they didn't need him to. They didn't need to go all out. They were saving some stuff. They were saving his durability, his health, even though he's very durable. But they just don't want him to get banged up, anything like that. They had the Broncos game easy. They're going to go all out. They're not hiding anything in this game. Whenever they're near the end zone, that's their go-to. And the Ravens typically stop running backs well, so maybe they'll slow Cook down. He's been on fire. Josh Allen finds the end zone. Love Jaden Daniels as well. Those are my top two. I'm going to put money on a single leg bet on Josh Allen. Of course, you got to put a little bit on that. It's only plus 110. At least it's plus, not minus. Jaden Daniels, plus 170, looks really good. The Lions have allowed rushing touchdowns to quarterbacks. They allow yards to rushing quarterbacks. Jaden Daniels is one of the very best in all of football. That'll be a major factor. The Lions run a lot of man coverage, and they're beat up. Those things don't go well together, with a scrambling quarterback. There's going to be, corners, guys in coverage are going to be turned around, covering guys downfield. Daniel's going to take off. Let's bank on him getting in the end zone. Terry McLaurin, we said to pick him as my favorite one last week. He's going to score a touchdown. He was getting end zone, red zone targets like crazy in the end zone, I should say. Wasn't working out. Then boom, he finally scores. But since he got so many of those looks, we know they really trust him. And the Lions are pretty weak against the pass. They're beat up at the cornerback position. McLaurin should have a solid day as a shot to get in the end zone there. And then some really sneaky ones. Dallas Goedert, monstrous last week, had a big time touchdown. He always shows up more, and Hurts always trusts him more in the playoffs. If you look back, he hasn't been in the league for a super, super long time, but it seems like he's always going off in the playoffs. So it's pretty much a lock to get chances. The Rams defense is getting better since the last time they played the Eagles. Their run defense a little bit better. They're getting better overall, but actually one spot where they've gotten worse, covering tight ends. We were all over Hawkinson last week. It was actually one bright spot of the Vikings. He scored. He hit his over on receptions as well. I like Goddard, plus 280, worth a couple bucks. Obviously, Vegas knows something. They think it's just not going to happen, but I think there's a decent opportunity there for him to score. Kincaid, super sneaky one. I think it's mind-blowing that Goddard has bigger odds than Kincaid. I think that's pretty wild, but I think Vegas kind of knows what I'm about to say, and I kind of already touched on it. The Bills, they even hinted at it. Josh Allen hinted at it. They were saving stuff during the regular season, and Kincaid is that ultimate mismatch weapon. He's more of a receiver than he is tight end, but a mismatch guy you can align in the slot, and who are you going to put on him, right? I have a gut feeling they saved. That's the biggest thing they saved, the Buffalo Bills. So not really on the game plan for the Ravens. Maybe he gets a sneaky touchdown here. And then Gibbs, 2 touchdowns. A little scary because how much they use Montgomery. Montgomery is better on the goal line, but Gibbs against that weak rush defense, he can rip off a couple touchdowns here. He could even catch a touchdown. All possible. So him scoring twice is a pretty decent play as well. But yeah, I really think Josh Allen scores. I think it makes sense that Jaden Daniels scores. But wouldn't be surprised either way. But I do love that pick. At least if one of Daniels and McLaurin's going to score, if not both. I don't see a world where neither of those guys scores a touchdown. So, but Josh Allen being my favorite one. We'll have more picks, last-second picks on our Twitter leading up to game time. So make sure you check us out there. One more college football pick on the year, the national championship. I'm going to go. Let's stick with the anytime touchdowns. Those have worked for us with the NFL this year. The plus odds touchdown picks. We'll go Riley Leonard. I'm surprised it's plus 115 for him for the amount of rushing touchdowns he has scored this year. This pick makes sense no matter how the game is going. Jeremiah Love's got good odds as well. He scores a lot, but let's say Notre Dame gets down big. A lot of people are expecting that. Let's say they get down big. That really drops, decreases Love's chances. Where Leonard, I think it stays about the same because if they are down big, they're going to be looking to pass. Even though they still might run because it's their identity, but they're looking to pass the ball because they're down by so much. They're going to make up time. They're going to make up points, but Ohio State maybe backs up. He can scramble for a touchdown because he's better at scrambling than he is throwing. So it's still a possibility, but if this game stays close, I think the game should be a solid game all the way through. He can score. If Notre Dame's up for some reason and they're up big, he can score. So I think it's surprising that it's plus 115. Another factor he is the factor. He's the key to the game for Notre Dame. Ohio State's a really good team. They're really good at stopping running backs. I don't know if they completely stop Notre Dame's running backs, but they can definitely slow them down. But something they haven't really seen a whole lot this year is a running quarterback. And then maybe Gabriel, the first time around Oregon played him, maybe he had some success. He actually scored a touchdown running well. So I think Leonard is the key for Notre Dame. So I see him getting in the end zone at some point in this game, no matter how it goes. I didn't want to pick a team against the spread as my pick because, man, for Ohio State, minus 8.5 seems like a lot against a team that's covered. Notre Dame's covered the spread every single week for the last 11. And so then maybe you like Notre Dame, but man, the injuries keep piling up for Notre Dame. It's a bad matchup against Ohio State. Everyone seems to think they're going to win huge. Vegas seems to think that. So it's a little scary either way with that one. So I wouldn't touch that. I just saw some value here with Riley Leonard potentially scoring a touchdown in this one. So should be a fun game. Hopefully it is. Hopefully it doesn't get out of hand early. I don't think it will, but we will see. But more picks on our Twitter always, and we have all kinds of content here covering the NFL week to week, but off-season stuff, trades, coaches, a lot of that going on now, free agency, all of it. We got you. Join us, like, subscribe to notifications on. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.